The Conservatives don't just fail to read the room, they fail to read the laws they actually wrote themselves. You're going to watch a man try to play Inspector Gadget. He thinks he's shouting "Go, go, Gadget Justice," but doesn't realise he's actually just activated the roller skates that slide him straight off a cliff. Chris Philp stood up in Parliament to destroy the Home Secretary, armed with a piece of paper and righteous indignation. Instead, he proved that while Reform UK might be making the headlines for chaos, the Tories are still the undisputed heavyweights of pure, unadulterated incompetence. Okay, so let's set the scene. We have a genuine scandal. The West Midlands police has completely messed up. They banned Jewish fans from a football match because they were afraid of an Islamist mob. And Chris Philp is rightly to be angry about that. But he can't just be angry. He has to try and be smart. And that's where the wheels come off the wagon. He decides that this is his big moment. He's going to nail the Home Secretary on a technicality. He stands up, he puffs out his chest, gulps 2 or 3 times, and says, "I've got a copy of the legislation right here." He quotes Section 40 of the Police Act of 1996. He tells her that she has the power to fire the Chief Constable right now, and he demands that she uses it. He's smug, he's loud, he's entirely convinced he's caught her in a lie. Then the Home Secretary stands up and doesn't just correct him, she dismantles him.
It is a shameful episode. West Midlands Police had evidence that Islamist extremists based in Birmingham planned to attack Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. Let's call that what it is. It is vicious anti-Semitism. And we cannot allow violent Islamists to impose their will on our country. Yet that is exactly what West Midlands Police, through weakness and through fear, allowed to happen. They should instead have confronted the Islamist extremists. In fact, they should have investigated the extremists for inciting racial hatred, as Jonathan Hall KC said only yesterday. But instead, they capitulated to the Islamist mob by banning the Maccabi fans. But it gets worse. The West Midlands Police then tried to hide what they had done. They fabricated a claim that it was the Maccabi fans who were the dangerous ones. They claimed a previous game in Amsterdam had led to violence by the Maccabi fans. This claim was a pack of lies from start to finish. The Mayor of Amsterdam and Dutch police have now confirmed the West Midlands Police simply made the whole thing up. The Chief Constable must be fired. The Home Secretary claimed a moment ago that she now has no powers to dismiss the Chief Constable. But she failed to mention to the House Section 40 of the Police Act 1996, which remains in force today. Under that, she as Home Secretary has the power to direct the Police and Crime Commissioner to do things, including dismissing the Chief Constable where, and I quote from Section 60 subsection 1, any part of the force is failing to act in an effective manner. That test is quite clearly met. Part of the force, the Chief Constable, is indeed failing to act in an effective manner by the Home Secretary's own analysis. If she's unfamiliar with this piece of legislation, I've got a copy of it here. The Home Secretary must today use her Section 40 powers to go through the process to direct the Police and Crime Commissioner Simon Foster to dismiss Craig Guilford. She must stop pretending to have no power and actually act.
To the Shadow Home Secretary, I have a long and very personal experience of standing up to extremists in Birmingham, not least in the last general election campaign. I think my track record speaks for itself, and I am a woman who knows of what she speaks. Unlike clearly him, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Shadow Home Secretary appears to be unfamiliar with the law or indeed Sir Andy's findings in his report. So let me remind him of a few things. Firstly, it was the Conservative government that removed the Home Secretary's direct power to remove a Chief Constable. It used to be a power contained within Section 42 of the Police Act 1996. That was repealed by the Conservatives in their 2011 Police and Social Responsibility Act, which explicitly removed the power. And I will quote from the explanatory notes of that Act, and I do believe that the Honourable Member for West Suffolk is very aware of what is in these explanatory notes, as I suspect he drafted them and approved them when he advised the former Home Secretary Baroness May. Those explanatory notes say the Secretary of State does not have power to direct a police and crime commissioner to suspend or remove a chief constable. That That is the law passed by the previous Conservative government themselves. And as he should well know, if he made himself familiar with how the law is to be interpreted and to be implemented, he would know that Section 40 of the Police Act, which remains in force in the 2011 Act, cannot be read in isolation. When these matters would be litigated before a court would be very aware of the direct powers removed by the repeal of Section 42. You cannot read the two things in isolation, and if he paid any attention to the detail, he would know that, and he would know that the Home Secretary does not have the power he claims that I do.
So who is the member for West Suffolk? Well, that's Nick Timothy. This guy. The man sitting on the benches right behind Chris Philp. The man who literally drafted the policy that Philp is currently screaming and doesn't exist. And also the man that's now taken Robert Jenrick's place as Shadow Justice Secretary. Philp is shouting that the Home Secretary is pretending to have no power while sitting a few benches away from the architect of her powerlessness. Powerlessness? Powerlessness. You know what I mean. And it's this level of self-own that is almost impressive. It is, politically speaking, exactly this. And remember, this isn't a harmless procedural argument. This is about police accountability, public trust, and the limits of political power over policing. Serious issues with serious consequences. And instead of engaging that honestly, Chris Philp turns it into a pantomime. A legal misread, wrapped in outrage, delivered with total confidence and zero accuracy, which means only one thing he actually demonstrates is that he doesn't understand the framework he's shouting about. So yes, reform may be dominating the clown car headlines right now, but we cannot forget the masters of the craft. Chris Philp held the crown of incompetence long before Farage's lot started dominating the airwaves with their populist lies. And with performances like this, he's making damn sure he keeps it.